Hi there, Sportsline on your television. Steve Layman here with you. Glad you are here with us. It is News Channel 5. Plus, we're talking some sports tonight. Coming up on the program, we're going to dive into, this is a weird time, obviously, COVID-19 taking over and postponing sports. Today, Wimbledon announced that it won't hold the championships this summer. It's the first time since 1877, when Wimbledon started, that we will be in a peacetime year, so not in a world war, that the championships will not be played. And the decision was made because the grass courts pretty fickle, and you have to deal with the growing season there. Then you have to deal with the type of dew you get later in the summer. Also, sunlight is an issue at the All England Club as you move later into the summer as well. So that was part of it. And just they decided, the All England Club, that they didn't want to have a championships if there were no people. If nobody could enjoy the games, they didn't want them to go on. And so Wimbledon will not be played this year. And that is another gut punch to the sports system for 2020, which has already seen so many cancellations and postponements and delays and uncertainty. But this has happened before. Goes back a long, long time, over 100 years, to 1919 during the Spanish flu pandemic worldwide. Canceled tons of sports at that point in time. So tonight we're going to talk with Ken Rosen, the author of 1919, The Search for Mankind's Greatest Killer. We'll talk about that event, the cancellations then, and what I'm curious about from him is how he thinks people will respond in the aftermath. When sports do come back, because they are going to come back, we just don't know when. Is it going to be May? Is it going to be June? We see events like this, it may be the end of the summer, might even be into the fall. Who knows? There have been some people. I think this talk is crazy at this point. But there are some people who say we may not see sports again in 2020, maybe 2021 before we can truly get by this virus. I, for one, refuse to believe that for a couple of reasons. One, this is the greatest nation in the world, full of really smart people and scientists and doctors and all those sort of things. We know what we're up against now. It maybe caught us by surprise. It maybe was something that we've never seen before, and it takes you a bit to catch up to it. But there are people working tirelessly and around the clock right now to come up with a cure, to come up with solution with antibodies for people who've gone through it that might be able to help people moving forward out of that. Obviously, we're hoping to flatten the curve here with all of the mitigation practices that are going in. And you have the benefit coming up here of warmer weather is really starting to creep in to a lot of places worldwide, but certainly here in the U.S. That almost always deadens a flu season or an influenza type thing. The coronavirus is not the exact same as the typical flu, but it has some properties to that, and a lot of the experts believe you will get some help with the warmer weather in terms of transmission and things like that. So you throw all of that together, to me, it just doesn't seem very practical that sports or life in general is going to be wiped out for 6 months or a year, as some people would have suggested. The other thing that you have to consider there, and now we're getting a little off topic of the sports here, but to finish the point is there will come a point as well that if they don't have a great answer or a great solution, that, to borrow a phrase from the president, that the cure will be worse than the disease at that point. We've already dealt with a few weeks here where the economic blow comes into play. And the idea is, well, if you stop the disease now and you can make it a quick battle, so to speak, and you win it, you can get back to work, you can get small businesses back up and running, and the economy can pick back up from almost where it left off, and it will be a steep rise to get back to where you were. But obviously, the longer you take off, the longer people are out of work, the more the unemployment numbers go up, the harder it is to do that. And there will come a point where if there is no solution, that the decision's going to have to be made that you have to go back to work, that you have to reopen the country and you go, even if lives are going to be lost, because the carnage that would happen, including lives lost, if you totally destroy the economy or you put half of the country out of work, let's say, would be far greater than the alternative at that point. Nobody hopes we get to that point, by the way. But when you start talking about canceling things 6 months or a year out because of this, that's part of the reason why I just don't buy it. Because at that point, it's going to be part of the recovery, however long this happens, or wherever we stand in the fight, whether we've won it or not at that point. So we'll talk to Ken Rosen coming up in a few minutes. Also, because of the cancellations, the Olympics, a huge thing this summer, not canceled, but postponed a year. 364 days from July 24th, 2020 to the opening ceremonies now July 23rd of 2021. That's when the Tokyo Olympics, the Summer Olympics in Tokyo, will take place. We're going to talk to Joe Fry, who's the throws coach at Belmont, who is also one of the best hammer throwers in the world. He was scheduled to go to the U.S. Olympic trials in June and compete to get on that team. We'll talk to him about how life's a little bit different now and how training will be affected for him and other athletes in that regard as they get set for the trials and hopefully the Olympics now 12 months, 16 months from now in 2021. Also, welcome your phone calls throughout the evening as well, 737-7767, the number. But first, we take our first break. We'll come back and talk with author Ken Rosen, the book 1919, The Search for Mankind's Greatest Killer. That's when Sportsline returns right after this here on News Channel 5+.